Ishmael, that was the son of the flesh. And that was hard, but he knew he had laid that out in the flesh. So he gave that up. But Isaac, wait a minute, Lord. You asking me to give up Isaac? That's not ministry. Lord, he said, I want you to give him up too, so that you can be a father Abraham to him. So you can be proven to be a father Abraham, and I'm so glad he gave up Isaac, so God the Father can give up his best brother, so we can be one of them sons. And I'm one of them sons. And I lift my hands to heaven, let your fire fall down on me, rekindle the fire within me, once again. Come on, Tim, help me with this. All I want to do is love you. All I want to do is worship you. All I want to do is lay right at your feet. As I lift my hands, let your fire fall. Let your fire fall down on me. Rekindle the fire within me, Lord. Once again. All I want to do is love you. All I want to do is worship you. All I want to do is lay here right at your feet. As I lift my hands to heaven, let your fire fall down on me. Rekindle the fire within me, Lord. Once again. Come on, give our hands.
You guys, you may be seated. We have an acronym around here called Fellowship of the Understanding. We talked about a die that had been cast, and that die was Jesus Christ. If we want to model ourselves, if you had a die made of $100 bill, you can follow after that die, you can make them $100 bill out there every minute of the day. So we need to model ourselves after that die. The die has been cast, a decision has been made. Our decision is that we're going to follow Christ. But how can you follow without a leader? So we need our leaders. And our natural leaders right now is our fathers. The Bible speaks about how it's been many instructors, but few fathers. We're going to let Pastor G come and tell us about fathers.
Yes, sir.
Add one more thing to that cheer. When we talk about the good things of God, sometimes we just cheer, and sometimes we put a little body action to it. I kind of like the song that Anthony was teaching us a while ago. But sometimes we do 1, 2, 3. We go 1, 2, 3. Yes. We all remember when Herb Gibson hit that home run in the World Series to turn the whole series around. He couldn't hardly walk. Had one leg, he couldn't hardly even put it to the ground. He hit that home run, come around third. Hit it up. You know, Brother Keith said there's 10,000 instructors in Christ. That's 1 Corinthians 4:15. And it says 10,000 instructors in Christ, but not many fathers. There's a lot of people that will tell you what to do. You go anywhere, they tell you what to do. They tell you what to wear. Sometimes even in church, they tell you how to act and all of those things. My spiritual father and my pastor, Dr. Ed Cole, was the founder of Christian Men's Network. He gave me a book many years ago called Wild at Heart. It had just come out. We met the author up in Denver, and he had him to sign a book for me and brought it to me. He said because he thought of me when I read it. so many of us men, we're put in a box. When we're little, we're told to sit down, shut up, be quiet, don't move. We go to school, they tell us to sit down, shut up, be quiet, don't move. We come to church, they tell us to sit down, shut up, be quiet, don't move. I mentioned y'all not long ago, my mother, when we were at church and we were there just about every night. They had these old wooden benches that had these planks that you set up. There'd be marks on your butt whenever you got up. But they were about that far apart. And if I always had to sit right in front of my mother. And I had a hard time sitting still. I never was a sit still kind of guy, David. And so every time I'd move, she'd reach up there and get a hold of part of my flesh. Pinch it and twist it. And then let it go. And so I sat down, shut up, and be quiet. But that book was about what men really are. We're wild at heart. We were born to be adventurers. We were born for the outdoors. We weren't born for these buildings. The author of that book, he lives in Denver, and he lives not far from the zoo. He said the book was kind of birthed out of getting up every morning early, get up to do his praying and whatever, and he would hear this moan go out over the hills, come for 2 or 3 miles away. He went to find out where that moan was coming from, and it wasn't what you usually hear from a lion. It was coming from a lion, but it was a lion in a cage. Instead of a roar, it was a moan. Because he says, I don't like this cage. I don't know about you guys, but I wasn't born for cages. I wasn't born for buildings. You know, structure is good in the right places if it comes from a father's heart. But I wasn't born for other kinds of structure. And I think that some of us really get put in places that we don't know why we're there and how we're there, but we really, sometimes even in our marriage, the guys that are married, we get married and after a few years we're not happy anymore. Because we're expected to be something that we're really not. Now, does that mean we need to be wild and crazy? I don't think so. I read some statistics, and I want to quote some of them to you to start with today, because we're going to talk about the father's heart, what it really means to be a father, and even you young men that are here that's not married, and your boys, your teens, or whatever. God's got a plan for your life that's much greater than you even see in this room. And we hope that you all become better than any one of us, stronger than any one of us. An astounding statistic to me is 61% of the households in America today are fatherless. 61% do not have the father in the home. 63% of youth suicides are from fatherless homes. 90% of all homeless and runaway children are from fatherless homes. 85% of all children that exhibit behavioral disorders come from fatherless homes. 80% of rapists motivated with displaced anger come from fatherless homes. 71% of all high school dropouts are from fatherless homes. 75% of all adolescent patients in chemical abuse centers come from, you guessed it, fatherless homes. 70% of juveniles in state-operated institutions come from fatherless homes. 85% of all prisoners, male prisoners, grew up in fatherless homes. 85%. not a black thing, it's not a brown thing, not a white thing, it's not a race thing. It's a father thing. It's all about fathers. I told someone that I was dealing with this past week that's had real problems in their marriage, ready to give up. I remember the time whenever I made the decision, when my kids were real small, and it looked like we couldn't make it together because we didn't agree on anything, and we had tried everything and nothing worked. And we decided to give up, and then I changed my mind because I decided that no other man is going to raise my kids.
Come on now.
It's the only thing we had to go on. And Sharon agreed with that. And so we got back together just on that premise. That I'm not going to let any other man raise my kids. The reason why was because I remember when my baby girl was born. I was 18 years old. We were got married as teenagers. I was 18 years old. We didn't have a sonogram, and I was for sure it was going to be a boy. But whenever she came out, the nurse handed her to me. She wasn't a boy, she was a girl, but there was something happened right there. There was something happened right there. See, there's a sense that happens when you hold that baby in your arms. How many of you have had the pleasure of holding one of your babies in your arms when they were small? Wonderful feeling, but there's things that happen in that. There's things that happen that is spiritual. I want to read to you out of Genesis. I'm going to read to you the first chapter. We could start at, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. But I want to skip over to the 26th verse where it says, and then God said, let us make man. You go back to the original Hebrew, that word where it says make meant created. God created the heavens and the earth, but God created man. He's talking about the spirit and soul of man. See, we're spirit beings. We have a soul. We live in this body. God is a spirit, and they that worship Him must worship Him in spirit and in truth. If you're going to come into the presence of God and you're going to be a real man of God, you've got to do it in the spirit realm. Because you can't connect to God in the flesh or the soul. You can learn about Him in the flesh, in the soul, that's your mind, will, and emotions. And you can feel Him touch your flesh. And I'm telling you, when He touches you, you're changed forever. But the same God that created heavens and the earth took that same expertise and He created the soul and spirit of man. He said, let us create man in our image, according to our likeness. He wanted us to be like He is.